But let's head on to the stage here as we see two more veteran players on the stage. We have Iomero on the left-hand side, the second person ever from North America to qualify for World Championships. And pretty much, actually, the second person on the entire Western Hemisphere, essentially, to qualify after King IV, that first season in the World Championships series. And then we have against Gordontheflash, very strong competitor as well, too. 2 5 5th place finishes in previous tournaments, once in Toronto, once in Indianapolis, and typically runs something fairly spicy. But there's spicy Pokemon on both ends. I mean, we got two Dragon types that are less conventional. I guess Dragon types in general aren't super conventional. We got the Guzzlord on the side of Iomero, which was one of my prediction picks, and then we have the Archibacks on the side of Gordontheflash, which is, in my opinion, even spicier.
Yeah, Gordontheflash actually got second place in the challenge here in Louisville yesterday, only losing to world champion It's Accent. So he did pretty well with this team, and he actually did run that Archibacks yesterday, and Accent was saying, oh, that was a Pokemon I was not expecting. It actually gave me a little bit of trouble. And if you look at Iomero's team, I feel like it is going to be decently strong, but the thing is, on the edges of the team, you have that Shadow, or sorry, the Alolan Sandslash plus the Iomero is going to make it a little difficult, but Iomero has that Guzzlord, something that you predicted, and actually a couple of top trainers have brought that Guzzlord so far. How do you feel like Guzzlord is against Gordontheflash's team?
I think Guzzlord and Dark types in general have a lot of utility, right? Because we're in a poison meta, it is not easy to bring fairy types. And of course, like we said, there's barely any fighters as well, so because of that, Dark types like Guzzlord are going to thrive. Manabuzz, Galarian Moltres, right? They're great Dark types as well, but they have that flying, they're flying types, so they're weak to ice, they're weak to rock, as we see Dunsparce everywhere. Guzzlord doesn't have those weaknesses, and it is a fairly bulky Pokemon as well, and I pretty much put it on there because I went to a local tournament, I got steamrolled by Guzzlord, right? Yeah, if I'm going to be completely honest, but I do think it's a sneaky strong pick in this meta that people aren't going to see coming, because I didn't see it coming, a lot of my locals didn't see it coming either when we faced off. It was actually against the CTU, actually, that brought it. And,
well, he's
that man's
for a lot
good.
of trainers, especially in the World Championships, winning over 18 wins in a row. Here we are locked into the first game of Iomero versus Gordontheflash. We have the Toxapex in the Malamar, and I want to see how much damage this Psywave is doing. I can't quite see. It looks like it's chunking. He might have the attack breakpoint that you need. I think he has it.
This is not the best line for Iomero into a Malamar team because he has 3 losing matchups, essentially. I mean, you have play into all 3 Pokemon, which is why he has to stay in here. He does go for the Brine Bait, but the problem is, like, even if you get a shield out of this, I don't think he gets to a Sludge Wave in time, so he might maybe go for the, okay, no, he's going to swap out here, but now swapping out, and he is at least up a shield, so he could risk shielding up one superpower here.
Oh, no, shields it.
Okay.
Maybe thinking it's the bait, but the superpower is going to trunk this Dunsparce, which is #1 usage, and now double superpower. Now you're going to force the shield the second one, which is the one you don't want to shield because the attack has been lowered on the Malamar, but where do you soak this energy? You don't want to soak it with Dugong. You don't want to soak it with the Drapion, so it looks like he's just going to soak it with his Malamar and let it go.
All right, this is actually, so I did say how weak Iomero's team is to Malamar, but at the same time, when you bring 3 Pokemon that weak to one Pokemon side of Gordontheflash, you kind of overload him a little bit, right? Because his main target for that Malamar is going to be Dunsparce, because you see 2 weak Pokemon, 2 Pokemon that lose to Dunsparce in the back. So, in a sense, it is a huge risk from Iomero, but once you get rid of the Malamar, you have a much more play in the back-end matchup. Obviously, Crusader's not going to do great here. Oh, and actually swapping straight over here is actually huge because Gordontheflash actually going for the debuff here first, maybe before swapping to the Drapion.
Yeah, trying to stay out of range of Moonblast, but you are out of range regardless, but maybe now you're out of range of Moonblast plus Grass Knot, which gives you a little bit more time here if you're Gordontheflash. Gonna be able to let this first Moonblast go, most likely, because it is debuffed here. Still does, oh, actually can hang on. Oh, actually gets the debuff, the attack drop on the Moonblast. Does this mean that Cresselia is out of range of Crunch? Go ahead and throw out the Protect Shield anyway if it's Iomero.
Yeah, I think Iomero is going to try to go for the pivot here because switch timers are pretty misaligned as you see on both ends here. And that's where that 50-second switch timer is going to come in handy. Going to shield up here. So I guess the debuff doesn't matter too much. He's just going to shield the Crunch either way. This is going to be a debuff Moonblast here. And in comes the Toxapex. You need to do something with Toxapex.
You have to throw Crunch.
Yeah. he's going to actually just draw some of this entry away from Gordontheflash, which I think is about the best Iomero could hope for with the Talk Spice at this point, because it hasn't really had a lot of play into the team of Gordontheflash. But soaking up some energy, grabbing a shield would be pretty vital here. And you see,
he banks the crunch though. He banks it. He has it in the in game.
Hold on.
But now, because he banks the crunch, now he has to give the protect shield here. So you have to be able to knock out this Dunsparce with the Ice Shard, which you will be able to do. You just have to get this Cresselia in range of crunch, which Cresselia is in range of crunch already, so Gordontheflash should be able to take this.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's actually going for the Icy Wind. You don't really need a debuff at this point too, right? Because you just need the damage. But I think this definitely puts it in crunch range either way, and it may force Iomero to throw the energy, and yeah, he doesn't have any energy. So the hope here for Gordontheflash is he gets this crunch off, and like you said, he had it big. I thought he left with just an Aqua, but
I think he has it. We're going to find out right here if he needs a Poison Sting or if he has it. And he has it!
He does.
And
Okay.
Gordontheflash is able to knock out the Cresselia and take game number 1 versus Iomero.
Yeah, Iomero may be hoping that it's just going to be an Aqua Tail, but it is going to be a super effective crunch, and Gordontheflash come away with it. Man, 1 HP in that one too. It looked, honestly, it looked really favorable for Gordontheflash at first, and then I realized that he didn't really have any answers to Dunsparce in the back, so it looked really good for Iomero, but it just kind of swing, like seesawed back and forth in that matchup, and you know, great plays from both players.
He doesn't have a great answer for Dugong. I mean, his team, basically, you have the Azumarill that can resist some ice damage.
Well, you have Cresselia and Dunsparce, right?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, if you're Gordontheflash, you don't have, or sorry. Yeah, you're right. Dunsparce. I meant to say Dunsparce.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Right,
there's 2 D-type Pokemon in top usage. He doesn't have a great answer for Dunsparce because Dunsparce is just so flexible, and your only answer is that Malamar. That's your exact point that you're overloading with. Even though you're weak to Malamar, you do have Pokemon that can still do things against the rest of Gordontheflash's team, especially Dunsparce. That's why it was weird that he pivoted Dunsparce and just let it go to the Malamar. He let that superpower go, actually did Protect Shield the second superpower, but there's nothing else that really even threatens it on Gordontheflash's team besides the Malamar.
Yeah, a lot of losing matchups there too. It looks like this match is under review. We don't know exactly why, but once we find out details, we're happy to share with you all as our expert judges are looking through some of the footage to make sure everything happened how it should have. But like you said, yeah, that's a very solid point there too. Dunsparce is very strong. So that's actually something that's really interesting to me, right? Gordontheflash got second place in the challenge, right, yesterday.
Yep.
And a lot of people that play in the challenge the day before typically are, you know, tournament attenders, right, and participants. So it's very interesting that he was able to do so well in a over 50% usage Dunsparce meta. Part of me is wondering, maybe he beat a lot of people yesterday, and they're like, I need to bring Dunsparce to my team, and it just bumped up that usage by, you know, he essentially bumped up the usage by bringing a team so strong and needs to, that doesn't have a lot of Dunsparce answers. But very interesting to see how he's going to play out the rest of the tournament either way because of that high Dunsparce usage. But he's still on the winner's side, and he got second place yesterday, so he must be doing something right.
Yeah, and he won that game number 1. So the only thing I could think of here is the only thing that looked a little weird is that Shadow Drapion getting to the crunch. Like you mentioned, you thought maybe it wasn't going to get to that crunch. Maybe there was the delay with the Dunsparce so that he was able to get to that crunch, but that's the only thing. But the problem is, by the end game, I think Cresselia was pretty much in range of Aqua Tail at that point because they had already taken the ice and it was really close in the range of Aqua Tail, but maybe that is what they're looking at. I'm not sure, but we'll find out soon why this one is under review, but it was a very close game nonetheless. I mean, look how much health that Drapion had in the end game. It was just a speck of it.
Yeah, it's maybe 1, maybe 2 HP at most, but looks like the ruling is going to be no rematch. Game number 1 is going to go to Gordontheflash here as both trainers are preparing for game number 2. So we're going to see how that plays out. I mean, the Malamar in general is very strong, right?
Really good.
I mean, like you said, it even beats Azumarill in the 2 shield. So what does Malamar lose to is the real question.
Yeah, pretty much nothing on this team. I mean, besides the Azumarill. You have the Azumarill to hard wall it, but there is the Toxapex on the side of Gordontheflash's team. So it's just hard to just blindly bring the Iomero in to soak the Malamar energy. That's why I don't disagree with the fact that Iomero went with 3 Pokemon that are kind of weak to Malamar, but also have some play against it. In the lead matchup, Toxapex does have some play, but I felt like he was overwhelmed by that fast attack pressure. Maybe he wasn't used to the Psywave doing that extra damage that I feel like Gordontheflash was doing, but it's going to be tough to defeat that Malamar, but for Gordontheflash, it's going to be tough to defeat that Dunsparce. And we're locked into game number 2. Uh-oh, here comes the Guzzlord, but it's matchup versus the Iomero.
Yeah, this is not going to be good, and this Guzzlord is not running Sludge Bomb either, which is the only slide coverage you can have into Fairies, but it is running Dragon and Dark Moves instead, completely walled off from that Iomero. It looks like Gordontheflash is going to go for a chip here, maybe a chip and dip to that Drapion, but we're going to have to see. You kind of don't really want to soak the energy. Oh, actually goes into Dugong. I like this play a lot too, because the main thing is, if you maintain switch advantage here, it's really uncomfortable coming Guzzlord into the Dugong as well, because you're taking super effective damage from these ice moves on top of it. But we're going to have to see, because not shielding the first play rough here, and these play rough damage is going to start adding up. And the thing is, Azuma's not in drill run range. You need at least 2 drill runs at this point to take out this Azuma.
You know, I was trying to look at the attacks for the Guzzlord, seeing if it did have that poison type coverage, but it actually doesn't. Yeah. It is running the Dragon, Claw, and Crunch, not even running the Brutal Swing here, going for the drill run, picking up the Protect Shield. The timers are really misaligned. You can actually probably go back into a Toxapex, maybe after a drill run is out, actually going for the Ice Beam. Gordontheflash does Protect Shield this, probably would have hung on, but did not want to take that play rough and lose the alignment. Yeah,
Iomero really desperately needs switch advantage, because that Guzzlord has no play. You know, it has no play into Iomero, and, you know, like you said, like, this is a pretty neutral meta, but in that matchup, it is not neutral at all. And this is the problem, right? Like, do you shield here? Iomero is going to go for a shield. This could have easily been an Icy Wind bait, but recognize that it's probably going to be drill run, knowing that Gordontheflash is smart enough to know that Ice Wind's not enough. And now, again, going for that Ice Beam. But I think you just shield it with Gordontheflash and maintain switch advantage, right?
And it looks like he's thinking about it, does Protect Shield it. You can't bubble down either, so it looks like this Dugong is just going to get to the drill run right here, and actually going for another Ice Shard to get a little bit more of energy, also put you a little bit lower health, so you don't give the opponent more farm down. Great plays by Gordontheflash here, knowing that you're safe in that matchup.
So things are actually looking, it's not great for Iomero by any means, but it's a little bit better because there's no shields, right? And on either side, and at the same time, too, the Dugong wasn't able to get too much advantage here. This is not a great matchup for Drapion, though.
You win the zeros. This is actually the only matchup that Toxapex does win versus Drapion. Because
and you're ahead by 1.
Yeah, exactly. You win the zeros. You lose the 1s and 2s. See if there's a debuff here. And oh no! It doesn't. That is bad, but it doesn't change the zeros. You're still going to be able to win the zeros with the double brine here, I believe. But it just comes down to how much can you hang on to get any lasting damage into the Iomero.
Yeah, I even if you win the zeros, though, the problem is, especially at the debuff, you're putting this Toxapex in bubble range, you know, at this point. And the thing is, you can't really come away with too much energy. I mean, the poison things are starting to add up too, right? You can see Iomero just trying to throw this. What's the gameplay here? Do you throw this and swap to Guzzlord?
But the thing is, you can't swap, because then the Iomero can just bank 2 attacks, or not bank 2 attacks, you need 1 bubble.
Yeah.
And then you swap. You actually get the Dragon Tail down there, but the thing is, 1 play rough is going to knock out, and there's no way this Toxapex is getting to a Sludge Wave. I know Bubble is resisted, and it's a great Iomero counter, but it's not that good.
Okay, so he needs a debuff here, right? Let's follow along my hope here. Yeah, it doesn't get the debuff, and yeah, it's just not.
You just got to get to 100 here. Yeah. Looks like he is near 100. It's going to throw the play rough, but the thing is, Toxapex is just dry on energy. This is double super effective. Going to 1-hit knock out that Guzzlord, take it down, and then the Toxapex is going to be able to hang on enough to maybe threaten some energy, but just going to get knocked out by the play rough.
Yeah, just a tough alignment game for Iomero. He recognized that he needs switch advantage, but Gordontheflash also recognizing that he needs to maintain it to have the victory there and able to